Dude, I feel like Jesse James with this thing, man. I feel like Jesse James. Oh, I shouldn't put it something else. Steve. Fuck. This thing? Sorry. This is Chris Cortea. How you doing? I have a modded Alpha Trooper. I wanted to show you a few problems and how to fix them with the modded. Now this is a modded Alpha Trooper. It is built to spill at 8.5K. Built to spill means I think it's going to break, and when it does, I want to see where it breaks to get stronger parts, so that I can make it at the specified level that I want it, which is an 8.5K black tactical spring. Anywho, problem number one is the bolt. If you look at it, this front part right here, the part that wedges out, you see it right there. It hits the very back of your magazine here. So if you don't put this in right, it does the infamous bending of the finger of the bolt there, and it doesn't go in right. There are two ways around that, of course. Okay, number one, just load one less dart in the back there, and just do the old-fashioned close breech. There you go. You're ready. Your cock, lock, your rocket. Okay. But let me show you what it does if you don't. Okay. Which is why doing it close breech is actually a better idea. So this usually happens when you're pulling this forward, like a lot of people do. They tend to, like one side or the other, tend to hit it. See if I can recreate the problem. And it lands right on it. It lands on it, and what it does, it tends to bend the finger. Okay. One way around it, if you have to lock it back when you do it, if you're just obsessed, like a madman, okay, is to just pull it, push it back when you're loading it. See that? Push it backwards towards the butt of the gun rather than forward toward the muzzle, so that it's sort of at an angle where it avoids that. Lock the breech back, and do that. So this is 8.5K. How does it rapid? I'd say pretty damn good. Of course, I got like He-Man arms because, of course, I'm 37 years old, and I got out of my toad, teenage years long time ago. So, anywho, problem number two with this gun is the rear spring housing. The rear spring housing on this. If you throw a spring like a black tactical version 2, even this has got problems. Even with flat ends, this problem exists. Or an orange ModWorks 5K spring, you end up running into issues where the spring bounces back and forth, and what it does is as the plunger goes out, it hits it, and it will do something like that to you, like that. Of course, not on mine, of course, but see, yeah. And you'll be like, Now, don't keep tugging away at that. Couple fixes. One is to take the plunger out and sand the outside of it with 220 and bring down the outer diameter of the very lip of that. I do that on a lot of my guns. The Super Veloce was like that, my prototype. I had that brought down to about 3/8 of an inch, and then right back up to the 9/16 outer diameter, which the piston was, so that it sort of had an arrow, because remember, this was a dual spring gun, and the springs tend to bounce around. Number two, you can actually put a spacer on there, the right size, and don't use hot glue, guys. I know that the washers, they don't have like a 9/16 that is lower than 7/8 of an inch, so they will clear the trigger catch. But one idea is to take a wood dowel and just, make it out of wood, like maybe something that goes from 9/16 to maybe I don't know, maybe about 0.65 inches, something like that, and then put a hole in it, and then put it in there, and then maybe epoxy it to the plunger, and then do that so it's tighter. And I'm talking maybe about a 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. I've done this on a couple of guns. And that's a good spacer. That's a good way to make a spacer. And if it's glued to the whole thing, even if the wood ends up cracking at some point, it's still held to the plunger and it won't break everywhere. Okay? That's another way. So what if you don't got a wood shop? What if you don't want to stretch your spring, which is another way of doing it, because you spend a lot of money on these springs and you had them shipped all the way from Singapore. You really, 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 really don't want to buy another one. Well, you can use the solution I did. Take a 1/4-inch strip of not the soft side of Velcro, but the hard side of Velcro. You know, the side that's on the dart taggers. Okay, and but not dart tag taggers themselves. Get like some good 3M adhesive, and just cut 1/4-inch pieces. Put 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and 1 across the bar on both sides, and really push it in there with no grease, no lube, no anything. If you have grease or lube or everything, seriously, like, go in the sink and wash out the whole chassis, get rid of all of it, and just re-grease it anyway. I know, a pain, but you don't want those coming off and getting into your gun and causing problems. So that is holding really well. I have not had a feeding problem all day. The first one I made, I didn't bother with it, but it seems that that channel is too big, and this hole that goes from, you know, your it goes from your plunger cap, it's inside of it. It just seems to be too big. It's always letting it loose, and it's like, even a black tactical spring with flattened ends. I was amazed. None of my guns have ever done that with that spring. So, anywho, this is a really good gun. I highly recommend it. The trigger, I like the trigger catch. It's nice. It's got a really wide area where it's holding the plunger, really wide. And so, unlike your Retaliator, which is only holding it by like a finger and then it's a little wider. It's a lot nicer. It's also a wider surface area, and it also has it doesn't directly the trigger catch doesn't directly hit the trigger. You know how like metal triggers are better for your Retaliator because your trigger catch is metal and it's always winding down. So unless you do a file job like I do and polish it out so that this doesn't wear down, it's still going to wear somewhat because it's a soft plastic to a hard metal. This one you solve the problem entirely because you got the slam mode transfer bar that has the finger that's plastic. Okay, you got metal to plastic straight up and down, plastic to trigger catch. Never a problem. You never need a metal trigger now. I just think it's outstanding. The internals are very, 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 very different. Some of it's the same, some of it's different. The air restrictor's like the old Alpha Trooper, so watch it. That's the one a lot of people have trouble with. And the catch, you know what they did with the catch, the mid catch? They made it so you can just take that ratchet out. You can just jig a screwdriver and poof, it's gone. And you want to get rid of the magazine lock, so you can be a crazy mofo in the middle of battle and do that. Well, that's easy. Where it vibes around the metal, you just get a pair of wire cutters, rip it out of there, you're done with it. So simple. So simple. So anywho, this is Chris Cartea. One more thing. The RX Retaliator is going to go between $100 and $110. It's going to have $25 worth of gun and probably about $40 worth of parts. It's going to come with an Explorer piston, a Orange Modworks metal trigger, and a version 2 Retaliator spring. It's going to have a punched air restrictor, and it's going to have a ported on the inside compensated barrel, just like these are, that stabilize the darts as they're flying out. It's not going to have the sight here, but you can go crazy with sights on these, okay? Just don't get lasers. Remember, we're all playing against each other. We're all going for headshots, and if you're trying to headshot with a laser, you'll blind people. So anyway, have a good day. I'm out of here, and just remember to get a good black tactical Orange Modworks spring on this. Orange Modworks recommended 5K. 8.5 doesn't really buy you much, but you better mod one of these if you get one, or all the neighborhood kids are going to laugh at you. Girls aren't going to like you, and we're going to see you looking for thrift sales on pressure cookers, and we don't want that. We don't want any hate around here. That's why we play Nerf guns. We just shoot each other with foam and laugh at your misfortune when you get hit. So I'll see you later. Toodles.